Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, the opposition NDC, like others, is gearing up for their regional and national elections. Subsequently, they are to choose a flag bearer. Now, the party ought to be united to do that, and especially so if they're serious about unseating the governing NPP. We're told that the Unity Walk is one of the many actions prescribed in the Kwesi report to heal the NDC from a devastating electoral loss in 2016. Well, yesterday, the Unity Walk ended in Aplau in the Volta region. Party General Secretary Johnson Nketia is my special guest as we review the Unity Walk so far. Sir, you're welcome to the show and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now before I even kickstart the conversation with you, let's take a quick look back at yesterday's, at the just ended Unity Walk in Aplau and some of the things that were said. Let's hear from former President John Mahama.
Recent events are vindicating the NDC. Our opponents accused us of incompetence, and these same opponents are displaying the most crass super incompetence ever witnessed in the history of Ghana. Who accused us of being corrupt are proven in government to be, and using Manasseh Azure's word, sophisticated thieves. Our opponents who accused us of subjecting Ghanaians to hardship are putting Ghanaians through the most severe hardship ever experienced in Ghana's history. Our opponents who accused us, without any evidence, of running a family and friends government are proving to be the most nepotic government ever in the history of Ghana. Our opponents who accused us of excessive borrowing are proving to be the government that has borrowed at the fastest rate ever in the history of Ghana. More than 30 billion Ghana cedis in 1.5 years, 18 months. They accused us, Professor Mills' government and my government, of borrowing 88 billion cedis. But you see what that 88 billion cedis was used for. Everywhere you see the evidence of it. In 18 months, somebody borrows more than 30 billion, and there is nothing to show for that 30 billion. Our opponents who accused us of Photoshop projects today are going around and commissioning those Photoshop projects. Those projects they described as Photoshop, they are going around and commissioning them today. But you know the most shocking, they are also cutting short again for projects that we had cut short for already.
Former President John Mahama there at the Aplau Unity Walk, which ended indeed the entire Unity Walk. So let's review it like I indicated, and I have the party's big boy here in the studio. General, you're welcome.
Thank
once
you
again.
Very much, my sister.
So let me take your review of the Unity Walk so far.
Well, I think it has been a very important exercise. I heard you saying in the intro that the Unity Walk was recommended by Professor Kwesi.
Yes, I said that so let me read for you what I wrote. I said that we are told, well, we were told that the Unity Walk is one of many actions prescribed in the Kwesi report. If you want to address that, we can do that. But let me quickly do your review on the Unity Walk so far, and then we can talk about whether or not it was contained in the
very
Kwesi
well,
report.
very well. The report suggested that we should do things that will bring us together, because everybody knows what happened after the defeat. I mean, success has many parents, as it has been said, by defeat is an orphan. So immediately the defeat came, people started blaming each other and so on. So some semblance of division was created, and so there was the need for us to embark on some exercise like that to bring the party people together, and that was why the unity walk was started.
Okay.
And
so you were saying that it has not been in the report?
No, it wasn't anything that has been recommended by Professor Kwasi Botwe or anything.
Okay. So
but there was the recommendation that we should do things
that
to bring
the party
us together because there were several divisions after the defeat where people were blaming each other. So we should do things to bring us together. I think that it was a wonderful suggestion.
Okay. So the unity walk, as it were, is John Mahama's idea?
No, it's not John
Whose
Mahama's
idea is it?
Well, I think some party people recommended it. I know of Joshua Kamba, the deputy national organizer of the party, and one Kwadwo Bonsu, the former mayor of Kumasi. They suggested it, and then decided to get the regional executives to buy into it. So at every region, the executives come together to help them to implement it. So the first time I was attending it, I thought that it was exclusively a regional exercise in Tamale. When I attended and I felt it was good, then I decided that anytime it is held and I'm available, I'll take time to be part of it.
But then you were not bound by any party, whatever, to be present.
No, nobody.
Which means that anybody else who was on this trip went on their own accord. They just chose to go, not that they were bound by. It was a party unity thing, so everybody ought to go. That you just
even party functions, nobody is bound to attend them. If there is a walk, and party organization is like a funeral. You can't stay in your house and be organizing a funeral. So party organization necessarily means bringing people together. So wherever you have opportunity to come together, you see each other. If for nothing at all, you see each other. It gives you a platform to address issues of national interest and issues of party interest. So any gathering of the party of that nature is useful towards party organization. And I think that throughout the various walks, we have had opportunity to address various national issues, various party issues. If there is information which you need to disseminate to party members, that's one of the fastest ways of going about it. And it's been very useful.
So that is your general review. It's
so
been extremely useful.
Extremely useful. It has galvanized the spirit of our party, because after the defeat, there wasn't any occasion that could bring the party people out. But once there is some activity and the members come out, we say, oh, so we are all around. So it's good. If we put in some more effort, we can win the elections. And I think that the unity work has been very, very useful in that direction.
Speaking of the unity work and how useful it's been, some have also said that it's actually succeeded in creating some sort of divisions at the maybe it has united the grassroots, because like you said, people saw and they said, oh, okay, we're here, our leadership is here, let's follow them. But at the top, it doesn't seem to have done the same. Wouldn't you say so?
I disagree with you. I don't see anything.
Why do you?
But I don't see any way the unity
Okay,
work
well, let me give you an example. I
has
spoke to Alban Bagbin. Alban Bagbin, who has made his intention to contest for the flag bearership very clear. He says that this was not sanctioned. The Unity Party, Unity Walk, is not the Unity Walk was not necessarily sanctioned by the party.
I'll form another party and make it Unity Party.
That's what he said. In my interview with him, he says that he sounded like he was not really in support of this. Not that he even sounded, he was quite clear about it. That this is a certain agenda that is being pushed. He made it sound like from the John Mahama camp in the party.
We have since come out to dispel those rumors. I think from the beginning, people like Spiogabra shared the same opinion. And as you observe the various activities, you see that they have nothing to do with campaigning for a particular candidate or even John Mahama himself whenever he has opportunity to attend, I have never heard him mentioning about his candidature. It's all about putting the party
yes, but sometimes
together.
you don't need to say. You don't really need to say.
So
just for the presence of.
So what prevents any other person from being present? So if you think that your presence there will market you, then you better join and be present.
Well, you could be present, but there are people who organize it. You could be present, and I think one of the issues that Spielgarber raised, for example, was that he has not been, he has not been officially invited, or he's not been allowed to speak. For the last one, which we saw him speak,
you see,
I mean, for the last one which we saw him speak, we haven't quite seen him on any of the platforms.
Now, we don't have any flag bearer contestant for the party as we speak now.
No.
On what basis are you going to call Alban Bagbin or Spielgarber or anybody to go and speak?
No,
we have not come to a point where we open nominations for flag bearers to show up and contest. All of them have declared their intentions to contest. And what is even interesting is that the person they are complaining about, that is John Mahama, he has not declared to Ghanaians whether he will contest or he will not
recently
contest.
we've seen some sort of confirmation
that
he will contest.
He hasn't said that. He said he will tell us what his future looks like. But
he said that he will not disappoint those who are calling on him to stand.
But it has never happened on any of these platforms of unity work where, he has spoken about his own candidature. At least all the others have declared their intention to contest. But as a party, because we haven't come to a point of opening of nomination, it is difficult to call people flag bearership candidates and so on. Who says that these are the only people who want to contest? So does it mean that if, as at now, you have not declared your intention to contest, it means you are barred by any law?
We will go into that.
So how do you select people and say these people are in this class? Or if you go and do a press conference that in future I would like to lead NDC, then certainly that puts you in a certain class and gives you certain rights as a party member.
Not necessarily.
I don't think that is
not
it.
necessarily.
If we close open nominations and close nominations, we will know the candidates. And from that point, if we are dealing with candidates on the same, on equal basis, that will have justification. But as at now, everything is in a flux. Somebody says, I will go, another person says, I won't go, and so on. So if there is a party activity and you all attend, you can attend. For the case of John Mahama, John Mahama is the immediate past leader and the past president. So whenever there is a party activity, it sounds to reason that you allow him opportunity to speak.
Okay.
You understand? So I don't understand. I mean, those who are
you explained it and said that you came out when I gave you the Alban Bagbin example. You said that you came out to review that point that
we have explained this way.
Have you explained it to Mr. Alban Bagbin himself?
Oh,
as a party, a stalwart of the party.
No. You don't have to go to people's houses and be explaining them. If you hear that people
not people's party. I'm talking about Mr. Bagbin.
People are complaining through a certain medium. You use the same medium to address the issue. We have used the same medium to address those issues, and I don't think that it is necessary to go to them individually. That if you hear some party member complaining on radio, then you leave the radio and then go to his house to try to explain to him. You explain to him.
But this is a person who is supposed to be a part of the party.
So that people will be hearing who else is in NDC who is not part of the party.
He's not a mean, I mean, he's not a mean member of the party. He's a stalwart of the party,
so
isn't he?
am I a mean member of the party?
No, which is why you're here. Which is why I'm asking you.
I'm saying that.
Which is why I'm asking you whether you have reached out to him. Because one of the things he said in that interview was that he is allowed to speak, yes, but it appears that people don't listen to him in the party. So
we must go and force people to listen to him. Or what do you expect us in leadership to do? I don't know. So you tell me. So if somebody is complaining that he's speaking and people are not listening, so how does it become our problem? He is a stalwart of your party. He is in parliament representing your party. And I'm saying that if you were in my position, what would be your solution? So you haven't done that? Basically, I am saying that if somebody complains in the media, and you are addressing that complaint, you address it in the media. So you have not reached out to Alban Bagbin? No. It isn't necessary to reach out to individuals. Okay. If you make your complaint to us, maybe in a written form or verbal form, then we use that same form to address your issue.
Okay.
You understand? So if you speak to the party in the media, we address the issues in the media so that those who heard you speak, they also hear the response.
Okay. Speaking of the same interview that I had with him, he asked the question, what is the locus of Kojo Bonsu, he says, in organizing the unity.
I'm sure you are very much in love with my comrade Bagman, because it looks as if this whole interview is about comrade.
It's not
Bagman.
about him. It's about the unity. It's about the unity walk.
And
he's not, like I said, he's not a main member of the party. It's about the unity walk and things that he has said about the unity walk. I'm trying to get answers. I thought that we will be saving time to deal with many of the issues about the unity walk. I have explained this part of it, and I hope it is sufficient. Okay, who is funding the unity walk? Is John Mahama the fund?
I don't know. Okay. Honestly, if you ask me who funds the unity work, I don't know, because these things are based at the regional level.
Okay.
So it is the regions that organize and invite us to address them.
Okay.
So I have never been approached for any funding or to raise any funding for any of the unity works. We see them as regional activities, then we go and participate. I'm told at some of the works, people will mount the platform and express their appreciation to the members of parliament from the region and other individuals who have helped put the unity work together by way of funding.
So the NDC as a party has not funded any of these activities?
If we say NDC as a party, I have a difficulty with that, because party doesn't mean that the accounts of headquarters. Okay. You understand? So I will not be able to tell whether at the regional level, besides the fundraising that was done, they actually dipped their hands into
So at the national level,
but
the party has not contributed anything?
It is, no, we haven't contributed anything at the national level.
And you can't deny or confirm that it is the most of the funding came from John Mahama, the former president?
I wouldn't know. The only thing I can say was that he declared in Tamale or some other place that he has not put a peswa in the organization, and the regional executives, they confirmed it.
Okay.
But beyond that one, I don't know. If the regional executive committee has a way of reaching out to anybody, if I have money and they reach out to me in my personal capacity that they are doing this thing and I believe it is a good thing, I can contribute towards it. Okay. So I wouldn't know whether any of the self-declared flag bearers, not even John Mahama, have put 1 CD or 10 CDs in that organization. It's the same way we raise funds for other party activities like June 4th celebration, 31st celebration, and so on.
Okay. Let's wrap up with the unity walk, and then we can talk about the when you're opening the nominations and the guidelines that we expect that you put out, and your timeline as well. The final one, which was held in Aflo, you were there yourself. Well, you left at some point. What happened?
No. I spoke. After I have spoken, I had to leave, because you see the traffic jam. If you all leave at the same time, it creates a problem. Okay. And I wasn't supposed to be on the platform because they were driving people away from the platform on account of its weakness or something. So after you speak, you come down. So I came down and went into my car, listened to President Mahama, and then immediately he finished. Before he got down from the platform, I took the lead. And so
you were riding away from traffic?
Yes.
Not that you were upset because your name was not on the officially...
No, you are combining several things. I've heard stories about me leaving a June 4th event because my name was not there.
Oh yes, the
it
June 4th.
Has nothing
yes,
to do
the June
with
4th. The June 4th. The June 4th. The June 4th event. You left because you were not officially there to speak.
I went for the wreath laying. So at the end of the wreath laying, I wasn't part of the afternoon session. There were 2 programs. The morning one has to do with wreath laying, ending with the lighting of the perpetual flame, and that seals it. Then they added an activity in the afternoon of which I wasn't part of, so there was no point waiting.
Not even as the general secretary of the party, that you could just hang around and make sure that it ends and everybody...
We have finished celebrating June 4th by the laying of wreath and the lighting of the perpetual flame. And if the organizers wanted me to participate as a speaker in the afternoon session, they could have said so and invited me to participate. But the organizers didn't deem it fit for me to participate in the afternoon show. And I have other things doing, so I didn't think that the best way to spend my time was to
Do the organizers have issues with
there
you?
and be waiting and be listening to other speeches when I can listen to the same speeches on radio.
Do you think that the organizers have issues with you? Because you sound to me like you felt like you should have been a part of the official
no, that
list
is
of
your
those
that
speaking.
is your feeling. It has nothing
From
to
what
do.
you tell me. From what you tell me. That's why I want you to.
I'm saying that
clarify.
there are two programs. The first one has to do with wreath laying in commemoration of June 4th.
I get that.
That was what I attended.
I get that.
That one, every party leader, because June 4th is one of the recognized public holidays in the NDC constitution. So every year we go, maybe prior to even the wreath laying, we used to do route march, and then we will end it, lay wreath, and light the perpetual.
Did it upset you that you were not on the list of the official speakers, those who were able to speak? Did it upset you?
Why? Am I looking for events to address? I'm not looking for events to address. I'm saying that we have a committee organizing. So if the committee decides, and they cannot fill everybody to speak at the same event at the same time. So if the committee decides that for today, we want ABC to speak, so be it, because we are all part of it. The planning, we put the committee together. So if the committee in its own wisdom decides that ABC should speak today, they have every right to decide.
But in the past, you as a general secretary has spoken in
yes,
such events.
When there is an event like that and I'm asked to speak, I speak. But if I'm not asked by the planners to speak, then there is no point being part of that afternoon session, because what we had gone there to commemorate was
you have done so. Let's talk about the NDC going forward and wrap up. If you're still watching us, I mean, this is The Pulse. I'm here. My special guest is Johnson Nketia. You can call him General Mosquito, if you like. We're talking in the NDC. We've just finished speaking about the unity walk and whether or not it has added anything to the party's search for healing as they approach 2020 elections, which of course I know they're working towards. Well, what's the party's plan going forward? You say that so far there are no flag bearer hopefuls as far as the party is concerned. Okay, what is the process and where are you? How far are we
we started,
to that certain
the
point?
whole calendar starts with election of branch executives. Then you come to constituency, then you go to region, and you go to National Congress. Then you finish the first phase of our elections before you even talk about selecting candidates for the various elections. So the phase we are in now is a process of renewing the leadership of the party structures. And in that sense, the unity work has been extremely helpful. When we started it, and then we advertised the process of, branch elections, it became so oversubscribed that for the first time I saw NDC people, some even going to court to enforce their rights over, branch executive membership. And I felt that it was so good.
And you think it's one of the benefits that the unity work added?
Competitive, yes. Very competitive. We finished that, and then we are now at the stage of the constituency elections. We've opened and closed nominations, and vetting and dealing with disputes arising out of the vetting is ongoing now. So on 21st of this month, as many of the constituencies as have finished and cleared all issues about the vetting processes and qualification processes, will all go into the election of constituency executives. Then after that, we will now open nominations for regional executive positions, and then the regional executive elections will also happen, and somewhere between July and August, then we are ready for the National Congress, which will happen getting to the end of September.
Okay.
So after that one, then it means that we now have a full complement of the leadership of the party from branch, constituency, regional, and national. So it is that leadership that will now decide upon the processes that will lead to the selection of flag bearer. So it may or may not happen that there are people in the various leadership positions now who will not even be available to participate in how the regulations of the, presidential contest will be formulated. That's why we keep saying that, it is too premature to be talking about who has done what and so on. So that is the way our system works.
Interesting. So if I get you right, you're looking at the flag bearer choice of the party being done in somewhere in September.
No, the September event will be a national congress that will renew the leadership of the party.
August.
Then after that,
right,
we appear to be a little bit behind schedule, because we are supposed to elect the flag bearer by the close of this year.
Which is what I was going to come to
by
you
the close of this year. So if we are able to manage the September election and get the new leadership, the new leadership will now decide how to put in the processes to be able to do the elections of a flag bearer and probably parliamentary candidates, moving forward.
Because usually you think that a party in opposition would want to select a flag bearer earlier, so you can start, putting him out there.
Yeah.
Is there an issue
in fact, it is a constitutional thing.
But it looks like it looks like it's so far off from your timeline. What's the issue?
The most important thing is to clear the National Congress. Once the National Congress is cleared, 3 months is long enough for us to be able to elect our flag bearer and the candidate. We are yet to take decisions as to how we are going to elect the flag bearer. In the past, we're doing it at an extraordinary Congress where all delegates will converge at one place and elect. The 2016 one, we changed it and allow people to vote wherever they were. So there wasn't an extraordinary Congress, and we compiled the results across the country and declared the flag bearer. So we are yet to take a decision as to which way to go this time, whether people are going to stay in their various constituencies to vote, or they are going to come together at an extraordinary delegates congress to elect. Then that will be for presidential candidature. Then we decide how to approach the parliamentary ones too. Parliamentary candidates too, for the 270.
I mean, at least so far, there are a number of people who have shown interest in the presidential candidature for your party. Alban Bagman is there, Spiu Gabra is there. Well, we don't know about John Mahama for sure, but he has given strongest indication that he will. He says that he will not disappoint those who are calling on him to do so. Sylvester is there, a couple of people. What is the party's strategy? You've already said that these people have
disappointed. There was an announcement some time back that General Mosquito is contesting. Why are you not mentioning it?
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that you are contesting.
It became news.
But do you want to contest? Do you want to contest?
The problem I have in these discussions is that we don't have any way of knowing who is contesting and who is not contesting.
No, the people who have come out to speak,
talk to the press that I intend to contest, then that makes you a
no, but those people, they are working. Professor Joshua Alabi, for example, you see pictures.
So
of
if he decides not to go, would he be in breach of any law?
Well, you tell us.
What the test case is that you pick a form, you file your nomination, and you tender it in, and we begin regarding you as a flag bearership contestant.
So what does the party make of all these people who have spoken to the media about their intentions? Clear enough.
They are free to speak. Others, you haven't even mentioned all of them.
No, I haven't.
Atubiga, I heard His Excellency Atubiga.
Well, I haven't seen. I personally haven't seen seriousness on
there
his.
There is another one
on his part.
Oh,
but
so
we've seen
you
people,
are judging who?
No, I'm speaking of people who have, especially people who have been clear about their candidature and spoken about it and taken steps. I've spoken to Professor Joshua Alabi. He's made his intentions very clear. I've spoken to Spiogabra. He's made his intentions very clear. I've spoken to Alban Bagbin. He's made his intentions very clear. I've not spoken to Sylvester, but we've spoken to a couple of our sister stations. I've spoken to him. He's made it very clear. So we're talking about people who have actually taken steps that we have seen.
Those are the steps that you have seen.
Yes.
I have seen many more.
Tell us
whom
about
you
it.
may not have seen.
Tell us about it.
I have seen and heard from Atubiga, the one who was he convicted for contempt at the Supreme Court during the presidency?
Yes, I know.
Atubiga has declared his intention clearly. I have heard of another young man from Wa who has also declared his intention. In fact, when we were celebrating the December 31st event in Ho, he came up and spoke. I have heard from Ricketts.
Okay,
Ricketts Hagan has spoken. I haven't heard of Professor Kwasiboche speaking, but I have heard news around him that he intends to contest. And so the list continues unabated. So the only way you can sift this to know those who want to be candidates is at the point where we will open nominations.
So at this point, no matter what they say or do,
so
the party
if I decide to talk about them, their suitability or otherwise, I will have more than 20 people to talk about. That's why I shy away from
I see. After Unity Walk, what next for the party? Let's begin with the kinds of things that you have used the Unity Walk to do, where it's become a platform where you see the former president especially speak about national issues, etc. We just played him there. We heard him talk about corruption and how he thinks that corruption, incompetence, on and on. After Unity Walk, would you say that using that platform has helped you make any political point, for example, or raise any relevant national issues that have received the necessary attention?
I've said those ones earlier on. If you want me to repeat, I've said that the Unity Walk has provided a platform.
You spoke about how this has helped you.
It has helped to provide a platform to ventilate a lot of national issues. In fact, the just ended one, we spoke about the national identification process that is ongoing. We spoke about the limbo at the Electoral Commission, which is threatening to create a constitutional crisis for this nation if it is not addressed. And then we spoke about many things. So it's a very useful.
So let's start with the national identification process. We've seen that there are issues with it. What are your expectations of how these issues will be resolved?
I think that it lies squarely in the court of the national identification authorities and whoever is backing them, whether it's government or whatever.
Of course, it's government.
Very well. Because there are very important issues that could create a problem for the unity of this country. I have had opportunity to talk about these things on other television networks. I've had opportunity to meet with the NIA National Executive led by Professor Atefa. And it does seem to me that they are just oblivious of those dangers and they want to walk us into difficulty.
What are these dangers?
Well, besides the financial things that people have raised, which are very weighty, I mean, the cost of the project, the procurement processes, and so on. It's a very big thing. But in my view, what is even more dangerous, because if there is a wrong procurement, the people will be chased out in future and dealt with. So that one will not rot. But the one that will create problem for us is the mode of identifying who is a Ghanaian for the purposes of registration.
Okay.
You know, we don't have, it is precisely because we don't have a unique identification document, that is why we are setting out to get one.
Yeah.
So from the starting point, you need other means of identifying people before you progress to a point where you can have a unique identity document. So because we don't have a national identity card, every nationwide registration or government-sponsored registration of citizens for any purpose has had to do with, you know, allowing the citizens to present certain series of documents that
so
they can use to
your
identify.
Passport, you can
so you
use
can
a
use
driving
passport,
license.
you can use this,
right.
you can use that.
Right.
That is the only starting point. But in this case, so President Kufuor's time, when he decided to do this identification thing, in fact, the national identification process started during Professor Buzia's time. Then the issue as to how to identify Ghanaians came in, and there was confusion, which never got sorted out till there was a coup d'etat. Then Achampong came, he couldn't solve it. Then President Kufuor came. So in the law that President Kufuor used, there was options, various documents that could be used. And that same law was used by Professor Mills and
I just want to find out exactly what the problem is and how you think the problem can be solved. Because as you say, they're leading us into a security.
I'm just about concluding to.
Right.
I just wanted to lay there, but I reckon we don't have too much time.
Right.
But you see, so the law that President Kufuor, Professor Mills, and John Mahama used, it gave options of various documents that could be presented to attest to your citizenship for registration. Now, this current administration has removed all those options and limiting us to only 2 documents. One which is even based on the earlier one. I mean, they are talking about passport and they are talking about birth certificate. So if you don't possess any of these 2, then you don't have a clear-cut document that you are going to show. The rest will have to go through a certain laborious process. And I'm saying that the most credible, they are saying we are going to register 30 million Ghanaians. And then 2 million have passports. Only 2 million have passports.
But everybody has a birth certificate.
No, 7 million out of the 30 million have birth certificates. And so we are saying that without a birth certificate, you cannot acquire a passport.
So you can work at getting a birth certificate.
So it is not 9 million who have the document. It's just the 7 million that have the document. So if you are going to embark on a registration process, and which is going to capture 30 million people, and the criteria is just covering the
2 documents,
just
passport.
effectively 1 document is just birth certificate, because you need a birth certificate to be able to get a passport. So the passport is irrelevant. Anybody who has a passport has a birth certificate. So the passport is irrelevant. So out of the 30 million, you have only 7 million who have a birth certificate. Now, the birth certificate is not as credible in our system. It's not even as credible as the voter's ID card, because the voter's ID card is procured through a process of biometric. And then it has gone through Supreme Court and other processes of validation and so on. So the most credible card you have now, and the most widely held identity card that you have in Ghana now, is the voter's ID card. It is possessed by close to 16 million Ghanaians. So if you are going to register 30 million people, and you have 16 million possessing a particular document, and you say that document will not be used, you are going to use the one which is possessed by only 7 million. That is a major, major recipe for disaster.
Okay,
and you are telling us that those 23 million the only way they can register is for them to go and swear affidavit, which will be supported by 2 people out of your 7 million. How can, 23 million get 2 people out of 7 million to support an affidavit that they will be swearing? It's a difficult thing. So we are saying that
it's difficult to say that people don't have birth certificates.
No, these are the figures that are that are coming from the birth and death registry, which is in the possession of the National Identification Authority. I'm not quoting those things. I am quoting them. They are saying that 7 million Ghanaians out of the 30 million, 7 million have the birth certificate.
What is your idea for the solution to this problem?
I am saying that add the voter's ID card, that is close to 16 million, covers about 16 million people. And then if the birth certificate is possessed by 7 million, probably there will be double counting. There are some people who have birth certificate and still have voter's ID card.
Okay.
So maybe some additional 3 or 4 million out of the 7 million who are possessing the birth certificate may not have voter's ID card. So when you add them, you get to up to about 20 million. Okay. So if you are putting in other measures to deal with the remaining 10 million or so, it stands to reason. But you can't go and embark on a national exercise. Majority of the people don't have the card, and you are insisting that that is the only card you are going to
So you say you've met
Professor
Nketia.
We met them and told them that, look,
you put this before them, your solution,
precisely,
your ideas,
fact,
your suggestions.
They should have come to us even before they put in the various processes.
What
they
did
never
they tell
came.
you?
They came at a point where they had made a false start. When last week they tried to start and it didn't work, it was after that one that they came to us. And we said, what are you
But
coming
they said
to
they
do?
had technical
So they
problems.
Came.
That was why they
and
couldn't
I'm saying,
start, not that.
No, I'm saying that if you want my views as a stakeholder to input into a national exercise you are doing, you come to me when you are planning the thing. So you take my views and add to it. But if you complete the thing and you go to start and the thing fails and you are now coming to talk to me, if I recommend that your equipment is no good, are you going to throw the equipment away and go to import
so
one?
So
they came
to
after
you.
they had made all these laws, removing the voter ID card and other modes of identification. We told them that this is wrong. You shouldn't have removed it because President Kufuor used it, President Mills used it, John Mahama used it. What is the interest in removing this card? And look, the qualities
so what
of
did they tell
the
you?
voter
What did they
ID
tell you?
card
What did they tell you? I mean, after
are
you
higher
you
than
met.
the birth certificate you are talking about, because the voter ID card is biometric. Everybody's biometric features are captured.
So after you left the discussion, what did they leave with? What did they tell you?
We told them that they should go and correct it. Otherwise, it portends trouble.
And include the voter's ID card?
Yes, because if you go to Cote d'Ivoire, you know Cote d'Ivoire civil war has its genesis from the refusal of the then government to register only one person, that is Alassane Ouattara, who tried to fight back, and it ended up in the whole civil war. How do you think that you can remove the citizenship of about 23 million people?
So clearly,
and you think they will sit there?
Clearly, you see that there's a problem there.
There's a problem.
You've spoken to them. Did they confirm whether they're going to add the voter's ID card? Did they tell you that in the meeting?
No.
They did not tell you.
Their attitude indicates that they are not in the mood to add anything, because when they left from us, the next thing we heard was them going to begin registering people at the presidency, and then Parliament also raised those.
Which was, they were supposed to have done the Parliament today.
Yes, and that is why the Parliament, our side of the Parliament, are saying that, look, we have also invited you to come and let's have a discussion around the table as to how to deal with these issues. You kept postponing the date of your coming. We have still not met. And then you send information to us that you are coming to register as we should keep.
Which is why the minorities seem to not want to be a part of this.
I want to believe that it is the beginning. It is the beginning. When they go to the field.
The beginning of what?
The beginning of confusion. Because when they go to the field, the people you are capturing now, and you think there is no problem, there are people who are likely to have passports. All ministers have passports. All presidential staffers. So if you go to set up and they come and register without any problem, don't think that you have a foolproof system. The day you go to, my hometown, Sekwa or Bepasi or Dege, where the whole community, nobody has a passport. And you say that they should go and register there. That is where you see the problem.
Okay, but how will, let me reconcile this. How will not having a passport or not having a birth certificate lead to confusion? If you were able to prove that you were born in Ghana, you were a Ghanaian.
The process of proving that you are a Ghanaian is so cumbersome that those who designed it, they behave as if they just landed from the moon. They have never engaged in any mass registration at all in this country. Because you see, they are not saying that take the people there to testify for you. What they are saying is that you go and take your witnesses to see a commissioner of oaths before you can do swear an affidavit. It is with the affidavit now that you come and join the
General, we've run out of time. So the
process of carrying people to commissioners of oath
for
and
you
doing
is
affidavit,
untenable.
and 23 million people requiring 2 people each from 7 million to swear affidavit. It's an impossibility.
All right, let's move away from NIA and talk about talk about the Electoral Commission and wrap up with that one. The Electoral Commission, you're calling on the presidency to speed up whatever investigations or there are to be done there. Don't you have faith that the right thing is being done as we speak?
I'm cautioning that time and tide waits for no man. We have a constitutional time limitation that every 4 years there must be election. Whether you are prepared or not, the election must happen. If we go beyond 7th January 2021, Nana Akufo-Addo cannot call himself a president. So if the elections are not held before that time, you create a constitutional crisis. And I'm saying that the elections...
There's a lot of time, isn't there?
No. The election planning takes 4 years. And it begins immediately after every election. The process of planning for the next election starts. After every election, you work to gazette the results, polling station by polling station, 29,000. You firm up the results and gazette them. That forms the official document of the declaration of results. Now, when you get that one, it is based upon the gazetted results that anybody can petition to any court to challenge the outcomes of the presidential elections. It has not been done. 1.5 years now, it has not been done. It should have been done within the first 3 to 6 months. It has not been done. Then after that one, within the first year, you do an evaluation of the past elections. Look at what went wrong and what went well, and look at the laws and review everything about the immediate past elections and see where you can. That one too has not been done because it involves all stakeholders, political parties being the key stakeholders. We have never been invited for a review of the 2016 election, even as we speak now. Now, during the elections itself, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission did indicate that their systems have been compromised. So it was going to be during the review that this statement will be tested. If it is compromised, what caused the system to be compromised? Is it a technical problem? How are we going to avoid it in the next election? Nothing of that sort has happened. I'm sure you have heard that America is undertaking theirs. America voted before we did. They are still not ended their review. And so certain people are going to face court action.
So you think we're running out of time?
So we have not done that. So if we work ourselves into the next election and you call us to come and do this, and some political parties begin complaining about a compromise system, which system are we going to use?
Okay, so that's the basis for
government is also taking certain action, creating of districts, creating of regions and so on, all of which involves an input from the Electoral Commission, which is not meeting. So whose input are they using in taking those actions? So it stands to benefit MPP and its government. the limbo that we have now. Because
at the Electoral Commission.
They have free will to do the things they are doing without consulting anybody. And nobody is going to look into the results of the elections by way of review to find out what went wrong. And even some of their people have come out. Canada, Japan came out to say that they didn't win the election and that something happened. And that if they joke, he will blow the thing up. So that is a second opinion.
Do you consider Kennedy Japan's some of
that is his
what people call tantrums as credible enough?
He's supporting a claim that has been made already by the chairperson of the commission, which has not been investigated. So as we have it now, if we are walking into another elections and somebody says that, look, per the admission of the commission itself, these systems are compromised. We must procure new systems. What are you going to say about it?
Okay.
We are going into district assembly elections. We need to do limited registration and all other things. Nothing is happening. So we are far behind time.
Okay.
So the earlier we solve the problem, the better it will be for us, because we cannot change the December 2020 date for elections.
Okay, let's talk about another thing that you've been talking about on the Unity Work Platform, then we can wrap up from there. The final one, we've heard former President Mahama talk about.
You can still call him president. That's how
about what? President
Kufuor, President Kufuor, President Rollins, President.
It's not bad, not bad. But his comments about President Kufuor recommissioning things that he has already commissioned.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. And that is the evidence is there. Cutting salt for the second time.
For example,
this second phase of the Kumasi airport. The salt had been cut already. I was part of it. The salt cutting for the second phase of the Kumasi airport was done, money secured. You came and you suspended the work with some excuse that you are going to review the project, review this, review this. You held on for more than 1 year now, and you are going back to cut the salt for the second time.
If so it's been reviewed,
that's why the President Mahama called it plagiarism of projects. And then
but if the project has been reviewed, then it's obviously not the same thing.
Nothing has been reviewed. Nothing has changed. The same financing sources are there. The same contractors are there. They are going to begin the work on the area which was cleared for the initial salt cutting. So what was the purpose for another salt cutting? The one he's doing in Takoradi today, the Takoradi port expansion, the salt cutting has been done. I was part of it.
But it was not a salt cutting. Well, our reporters on the ground say it was a commissioning of what President Mahama, former President Mahama, cut the salt for.
No, this expansion one, the second phase two, we cut salt for it, for the second phase to begin. So it's just going to repeat things. And projects that you yourself condemned when we're building airports, they were all over the place that we don't eat roads, we don't eat asphalt.
I think their concern basically was about value for money, whether or not value for money has been done.
And so when they came, what have they discovered about value for money, which is wrong? Have they told you? Nothing. They just increase the cost by delaying the project, because every project that is delayed implies increase in cost. So all the projects that they have delayed for more than a year, it will imply increase in cost. So nothing has happened. You say whole airport was needless. You are now bragging that you are going to commission whole airport. The Kotoka International Airport, I don't know why they cannot commission it now. It's because of the sheer shame of going to face Ghanaians that you are going to commission the second phase of the Kotoka International Airport expansion phase, which is replete with sky bridges and other things like any other modern airport, which is going to make the airport one of the best 5 on the whole of the African continent. These are projects that you condemned. And then when you came, you delayed it for more than 1 year on the pretext that you were going to do investigation. Even they went as far as to the funding source, the bank, to tell them that Ghana didn't need that money. And they say, oh, it has been signed and sealed and commissioned and committed, and the contractor is already utilizing it. We cannot withdraw it. That's how come they came now to allow the contractor. And now that it is nearing completion, almost every 2 months, the Minister for Aviation will lead cameras to go and be inspecting.
Speaking of projects, what do you know about the Legon Medical Center and why it's still not open for use?
I think you should call the minister for
yes, we've spoken to him.
What I know is that this first phase is ready for commissioning. It's been equipped long time ago. It's just standing there. There's only, we intended it to be managed by the university authorities because it is a teaching hospital and the university trains doctors. So we thought that instead of them moving to Kolebu up and down and so on, we should give them a specialized hospital which will be managed by the university.
By the NPP? NPP disagrees with that?
Yes, NPP wants it to be managed by Ministry of Health. And that is the reason for all this hula baloo.
The minister said that the work that you said was completed, even the phase that was completed.
Go and ask the management.
Done our checks.
Go and ask the management of the university that what is the cause of the confusion. The minister is insisting that it must operate on the Ministry of Health against the intendment of the project, which we thought would be a specialized, facility for the training, and then we'll give, we'll provide a center of excellence for medical tourism and other things, and it will be managed as the university's private facility.
Okay.
And then you are saying they should come and add it to the poorly managed hospitals that we have under your ministry. So that has been the problem.
Okay.
I hope you ask them about why they are not opening the one also at Ofanko and other places. It is not this one alone. There are several of them across the country, some that are 95% complete and so on, and they are not doing anything on it. In my place, in Soko, it is about 80% complete.
And the
whole place is overgrown with it's going to be the second largest hospital in the whole of Branhafo region.
And they've all been locked up?
Yes.
Okay. All right. There's this